We are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the Nolan Hawkeye Anthony YouTube channel. And I thank all of you for being here, wherever you may be. And of course, however you may be listening. We are back for yet another week of the game preview for the Iowa Hawkeyes. And this week, of course, it is against the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, who are having a much better season than they have had in years past. This is a crucial game, definitely for the Iowa Hawkeyes and their Big Ten West hopes. I don't think Rutgers has any illusions of winning the Big Ten East, but as far as finishing the year with a solid victory and going to a decent bowl game, this game definitely has massive implications for them. Plus, there was the shellacking that Iowa handed Rutgers last year when a lot of people thought that Rutgers was on an upward trajectory. Well, I guess it wasn't that bad. It was 27-10, but still a pretty good victory for Iowa. I guarantee Rutgers would like to have that one back, and they will be looking for some vengeance against the Iowa Hawkeyes again this year. Really, again, you don't want to say that any one game is the most important game of the season, but this is very, very important for Iowa. I mean, they are top of the Big Ten West standings at this point, 7-2 overall, 4-2 in the Big Ten. And this is probably one of their toughest games on their entire schedule. It's a must win. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. This is a must win. Like I said, I'm not willing to say that it's the most important, but it is a very important game. Iowa, since they lost the game to Minnesota, this is just pivotal. There's no other way to put it. But before we dive into any more of the game preview, I want to ask you guys to consider smashing that subscribe button. At the very least, like, comment, share. If you guys want to donate to the channel, you guys absolutely can by hitting the donation button on this video or going into the description box and checking out my PayPal or Cash App. I thank all of you who have donated to the channel thus far. And without further ado, let's get into this. So this is going to be a home game for the Iowa Hawkeyes. The game is set to kick off 12:30 Pacific time. ESPN's analytics give Iowa a 62% chance of winning this football game, and Rutgers a 38% chance to win this game. The leading statistical individuals coming into this game for each team would be G. Wimsatt for Rutgers, 1,263 yards, 8 TDs to 5 INTs. Cade McNamara, of course, is no longer the quarterback for Iowa as he got injured. It is now Deacon Hill under center. Of course, you never know. Joey Labus may be thrown into the game. Crazier things have happened, but for now, Iowa seems to be rolling with Deacon Hill. Let's go ahead and take a look at his stats really quickly. Because I just think it's very important to stay atop of the quarterback stats. So Deacon Hill is 47 of 113 for 492 yards with a 41.6 completion percentage, average of 4.4 yards, 3 touchdowns to 4 INTs with a rating of a 79.8. I think number one is Iowa needs to, and I think they tried to do it last week against Northwestern, but they need to just get their quarterbacks, just in general. Brian Ferentz, who will not be Iowa's offensive coordinator next year, according to interim athletic director Beth Gates. If he wants to be an OC in the future, he needs to start understanding the concept of rhythm throws and generating confidence with his quarterbacks. And we did see a little bit of it last week, but I would really like to see more of it, especially against Rutgers, who is 6-3 coming into this contest, 3-3 in the Big Ten. We know Deacon Hill has a big live arm. it would definitely behoove Brian Ferentz to get him some confidence throws. Now, the leading rusher for Rutgers is Manangai, 168 carries, 903 yards, 7 TDs. He will definitely be somebody that the Iowa defense keys in on. The leading rusher for Iowa is LeShawn Williams, 110, aka LeShawn Williams, 110 carries, 551 yards, 1 TD. I said this in the postgame show, Iowa versus Northwestern. It's been really tough for Iowa not to have Caleb Johnson. Thank goodness they have had LeShawn Williams healthy for much of the year. Caleb Johnson, who was expected to take a huge step forward, just has not been able to stay healthy. And he is just somebody that you can't find just anywhere. I mean, he is physically imposing. He's a hard runner. And, when he's healthy and can feel confident about the moves that he's making, he's a very tough running back to stop. We'll see if he's available for this game. Iowa is notoriously hush on injuries. But at the very least, it looks like Iowa does have Josiah Patterson back. And they will have LeShawn Williams. The leading receiver for Rutgers is C. Dremel, 26 receptions, 363 yards, 3 TDs. It is still Eric All for Iowa, even though he is out for the remainder of the season. Here are the last 5 games for each team. You can see that Rutgers, the 2 losses most recently that they have were to Wisconsin, 24-13, and Ohio State this past week, 35-16. Iowa's most recent loss came in the controversial game against Minnesota, in which they lost 12-10. Look at the scores: 10-7, 12-10, 15-6, 20-14, 26-16. Absolutely incredible that Iowa has been able to win so many games on the shoulders of their defense. Iowa is a 1.5-point favorite coming into this game. The predicted weather is 47 degrees, mostly sunny with some clouds. The over and under for this game is 28.5. And I said this in the last few game previews. You shouldn't be surprised, guys. I mean, Vegas, it has it nailed. They have it nailed. Iowa, because of how good their defense is, they are not going to allow more than 20 points. And Iowa, because their offense is so notoriously garbage, they're not going to score more than 20 points. So the over and under, I mean, it's just funny because Vegas still has given Iowa the benefit of the doubt, and the over and under has been 31, 32. But now they're saying, screw it. We're going below 30. We're going at 28.5. I mean, it's absolutely incredible, guys. Absolutely incredible. Here are the Big Ten standings. You can see the Big Ten East here, and then the Big Ten West, of course, Iowa atop of the Big Ten West. All right, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at the depth charts really quickly. All right, guys, here is Rutgers depth chart. If you guys want to pause it, you guys can. I'm not going to stay on the screen too long. Like I said, if you guys want to pause it, go ahead. Here is the defense here. Definitely the defense has some studs on that side of the football. I think the main guy for Iowa to look out for is definitely their running back, Kyle Manangai. So like I said, if you guys want to pause it, you guys can. And then here we are with Iowa's depth chart. Nothing has really changed. Again, if you guys want to pause it, you guys absolutely can. The one note that I would add is just, like I said, Josiah Patterson was available this past week. That's good news. Addison Ostrenga does look to be taking some steps forward. It's going to be very interesting next year for Iowa with Eric All being injured. I don't know if he will have another year of availability with this injury. He might be able to utilize a medical red shirt. I'd have to take a look at that. But hypothetically, if both Eric All and Luke Lachey return, and had they stayed healthy this year, both of them would have been NFL draft picks, no doubt about it. With the development of Addison Ostrenga, the tight end room gets very, very full. And it'll be interesting to see who leaves and who stays, what the decisions are of Eric All and Luke Lachey. But the main thing, like I said, hypothetically, if both of those guys stay, taking into account the development of Addison Ostrenga is what that does for him, and what will the new offensive coordinator do with this really, really, really talented tight end room with three guys having legitimate Big Ten experience. That will be interesting to check out. Again, if you guys want to pause it here, you guys can. Let's see. And here is the defense. Again, if you guys want to pause it, you guys can. All right, guys, let's take a look at the team stats. We have total defense here: Michigan, Penn State, and my Air Force Falcons, top three. Of course, Air Force did lose this past week. Rutgers with the 10th best total defense in the country. Not bad at all, which is why they've had the success that they have had this year compared to most recent years. 282.4 yards per game that they are giving up. Not bad at all. 282.4. Iowa is 17th. Nebraska 16th. Now, Iowa is not a total defense team. They are a bend, don't break team. So the main stat that now they're always still going to be really good when it comes to total defense, but the main defensive stat to look at when it comes to them is points scored against them. Nonetheless, they give up 298.7. Let's go ahead and take a look at total offense as well for both of these two teams really quick. So I did not know this until just looking at this now. I mean, these are two very similar teams, both very poor, below average offenses. Rutgers 104th, averaging 330.9 yards per game. And of course, Iowa dead last in the entire country, only having 225.3 yards per game. I mean, as an Iowa fan, you say it can't get much worse until you see this year. And sadly, it can get worse, as we see there. All right, here is scoring defense. Iowa, the Big Ten has the top four defenses in scoring defense in the entire country. Michigan 1, Ohio State 2, Penn State 3, Iowa 4. Like I said, this is the main stat to look at for Iowa with the bend, don't break defense, giving up 13.67 points per game. My Air Force Falcons 5th. And then Rutgers 20th, giving up 17.89 points, 17.89 points per game. And last, we'll take a look at the scoring offense here. And I fully expect both these two teams to be on page 3 like they were before, due to how poor. Well, actually, Rutgers is page 2, 71st in scoring offense, which is not bad. I think most Iowa fans would gladly take that. They are definitely, their scoring points is definitely a bit higher than one would expect when looking at their total offensive output. They're averaging 26.8 points per game. Now, Iowa for sure is page 3. No doubt about it. Iowa 119th, Nebraska 115, Northwestern 113. Iowa is averaging 18.4 points per game. Let me say that again, folks. 18.4 points per game. I mean, like I said, we have been saying for years that we didn't think it could get much worse. And then it did. It is much worse. Okay. It is as bad as it can get. I was wondering why, because usually I do the team stats comparison, but for some reason, the team stats comparison is not on ESPN's game preview. But anyways, we checked out the major stats. coming into this game. And finally, my analysis and how I envision this game occurring. Nothing crazy, nothing tricky here, guys. Even with Brian Ferentz no longer going to be the offensive coordinator in Iowa City next year, things are not changing. Brian Ferentz is still the same. This game is going to be similar to all the recent Iowa games that we have seen, minus Penn State. And it's not going to be any different this game, considering Rutgers is a very similar team with a below average offense, even though their scoring offense is not terrible, but still overall below average offense on both sides with really good defenses. And, Rutgers definitely has decent special teams. Iowa, a good special teams. So the analysis of this game is the exact same. I think Iowa has more talent than Rutgers top to bottom. As I've said, the only team on Iowa's schedule that has had more talent than them has been Penn State. But this is still a really good Rutgers team that would love nothing more than to ruin Iowa's Big Ten West title hopes, considering the connection that Greg Schiano has to the Iowa Hawkeyes, and of course, the victory Iowa had over Rutgers last year. Believe me, they would love to win this game. And this, honestly, guys, if Rutgers won this game, this would be a very signature win for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights and evidence that they are moving in the right direction. Iowa, on the other hand, has basically improved in the things that they're really good at, which is defense and special teams. They have, I guess, slightly in some ways taken a step back on special teams. Tory Taylor basically has been just as good, if not better, as he was last year. I would say the small exception is that this year Iowa has not, even though Cooper DeJean is a pretty solid return man, and same with Caden Wetchkin, they're not on par with what we've seen from years past. I mean, Iowa has been known to have the best return man in the entire Big Ten multiple years. But either way, Iowa has gotten really good and better at the things that they do good, but they've gotten worse at the things that they do bad. And that is why we are seeing Iowa continuously be in these really close games. And you even compare it to last year where Iowa beat Rutgers 27-10, I believe it was. And as an Iowa fan, you go, there is no way that Iowa would be able to put that many points on the board again this year. There's just no way. By the way, Iowa did beat Rutgers on the road last year. There's just no way. So this is across the country one of the most bizarre storylines that people are just absolutely stunned and left with their hands in the air, wondering how has Iowa been one of the most winningest teams in all of college football, despite their offense being as bad and being more poor than a 1960s style offense. I mean, it's absolutely defies logic. It defies the imagination, yada, 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 whatever explanative that you want to put on it, be my guest. So this game, nothing tricky, nothing crazy. It'll be close like the rest of the Iowa Hawkeye games. Like I said, if you look at Iowa's past 5 games as we did, and you check out the scores, let's see here. You have outside of Western Michigan and Penn State, you have 26-18 over Michigan State, 26-16 over Michigan State, 20-14 over Purdue, 15-6 over Wisconsin, lost 10-12 to Minnesota, and of course 10-7 to Northwestern. It's not going to be any different, guys. I would love to see the emergence of a quarterback, and I would love to see Deacon Hill or Joey Labus really take a step forward. I think the best hope that Iowa has, and I've said this week in, week out, if you're an Iowa fan, the biggest hope that you have for Iowa to put points on the board is either the defense getting takeaways that end in scores or put the offense on the doorstep of scoring. Kickoff, punt return, touchdown, which is definitely possible. We've seen it thus far this year. But as far as the offense goes, the only hope that you have for Iowa putting points on the board of, I guess, above 20 points is Iowa hitting multiple big play scores, which has been the primary way that Iowa scores, is by hitting a big play. I've been saying this all year long. Hawk Central was the first one that I saw point this out, and then I saw it from Blackheart Gold Pants. Iowa is a big play offense, not in the same way that a USC or an Oregon is, but the only way Iowa scores is from big plays. From the 20 to the 20, stacking together multiple drives, multiple first downs that end and culminate in a touchdown is just not happening. It is just not happening. So outside of the first one or two drives, if Iowa doesn't score on that or from big chunk plays, the other thing you can hope for is maybe LaShawn Williams or Josiah Patterson have themselves a good old-fashioned day. And that would be one of, the few ways that Iowa can somehow muster over 20 points. As I said at the beginning of this video, I don't want to say that this is the end-all be-all game. Iowa does still have Illinois and Nebraska on the schedule. They have Illinois at home and Nebraska on the road. Rutgers has road contests against Iowa. They go to Penn State, and then they finish with a home game against Maryland. As I said at the beginning of this video, I don't want to say that this is the most important game, but it is a very important game nonetheless. Every game is important, but due to Rutgers really being a much improved team this year, the magnanimity of this game is just slightly higher than, I guess, a game against Northwestern. I think that this would be a really, really solid victory for the Iowa Hawkeyes. And if they can get this victory, they will have pretty much a 90+% chance of winning the Big Ten West. So how will this game end up? Well, you guys have already guessed it based off of what I've said. This will be a low scoring contest. Vegas has the over and under set at 28.5. And I totally agree with that. I'm going with a 15-10 victory over Rutgers. I think it'll actually be under the over and under, which is 28.5. I do think Iowa finds a way to win this game to improve to 8-2, primarily because it's a home game. If this was not a home, I know Iowa did lose to Minnesota at home, but if this was, but that is an outlier. That rarely happens. And we go by the rule, not the exception. If this was on the road, I would be far less confident of a victory. And make no mistake, guys, Rutgers is a much improved team this year, albeit that I have said that I am not as high on Rutgers as maybe others across the Big Ten are due to the schedule that they have had not being the best. But then again, Iowa's schedule has not been the best either. I think it's been better than anticipated maybe during the preseason, as Iowa State has been decent. Northwestern was better than people predicted, Nebraska, so on and so forth. But still, not the most torturous schedule in the world. Nonetheless, Rutgers is much improved regardless of the schedule. And this will be a pivotal game for the Iowa Hawkeyes and a great measuring stick for the actual quality of this Iowa Hawkeye team. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Rutgers fans as well. If you guys found your way to this video, I thank you guys for stopping by. If you guys want to donate to the channel, you guys absolutely can. Check the links in the description or just donate through this video. I hope you guys consider smashing that subscribe button, at the very least. Like, comment, share. You guys know the drill. And last but not least, DBAP, don't be a pussy willow. In fact, our feelings, because your feelings just don't matter. Love you guys. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Bye.